Hi, this is Glenn Gilliam for Fathers and Sons. We're here at the Apollo Theater for an incredible night of dedications. The comedy stars of the past, Red Foxx, Jackie Moms Mabley, and Richard Pryor were honored here tonight in terms of the Walk of Fame. And one of the main reasons that this whole evening has been pulled together is because of the man to my right, Bob Sumner, who you guys know from Def Comedy Jam. And now he has a new look he's bringing to the Apollo called Laugh Mob. More of Bob's best. Bob, great to see you tonight.
Hey, how you doing? Thank you.
We're good. We couldn't be more excited. What you've been doing for comedy over the last couple of decades, obviously bringing so much talent to the table. What does tonight, though, mean for you, circling back here to your home here at home?
Well, I mean, it's really cool because I have the opportunity to, like I said earlier, it's like full circle for me. I mean, I was born at the Apollo, basically. My uncle was a member of the Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame group, the Platters. So my parents would always come here when he was in town to perform here, and they just, got stuck on the Apollo. So me as a little kid in the 60s, this is where we came to every Wednesday for amateur night, and every Sunday we would come for the matinee and go around the corner to my relative's house on 7th Ave or over on Macomb. So this was like for me to be here, and when I look at like when I got the call from Janelle and Mickey to be here and to take this job as curator of a comedy, it was like a dream come true because I could remember Moms Mabley as a kid when I would see her come on stage and just tear the house, tear the roof off. So it's great.
Well, I got to tell you, it's so fantastic to hear those stories because I was saying to Janelle and to Mickey earlier, we really need for young people to get a sense of the connection, the history, which I think, unfortunately, there's a big disconnect there, and we're glad to see you.
Well, just like I got my education here, I will continue to help educate because I look at Janelle and Mickey, and I'm like, everybody know me as like the guru of identifying talent. They identified me. They knew that if they want to get this thing going the way it need to be going, why not go to, come here.
Come to the source.
Yeah, come to the source. And, I've launched a lot of careers in the 90s as the Apollo has done for decade over decade over decade. So it's a beautiful thing.
We're trying to do what we do at Father and Sons to influence young people, the millennials. How has social media influenced what you've done with these young comics?
Well, social media has done a lot because, a lot of times guys didn't really have the means to make VHS tapes and what have you. So now they can just go and send me their links and stuff. But one thing I can say is please be funny without the edits because you have a lot of YouTube stars. But this is all about stand-up. For me, I have to see your stand-up act to see if you have that point of view, so maybe we can go develop a sitcom for you or a film. So that's where the social media thing, you can really, it's a lot easier for these guys than it was for Chappelle and Tucker and those guys. So
let me ask you, how do people get in touch with you? How can they reach you if they want to show their talents?
Well, they can always send a link to info@laughmob.com. That's LAFFMOBB. And not only am I here at the world famous Apollo Theater at the Apollo Comedy Club, but I also produce a weekly show at the world famous Comedy Store out on Sunset Boulevard. So if anybody is coming out that way, I have a early show that I showcase up and coming comedians. And if you think you're funny enough to be on this stage here at the Apollo, feel free to hit me up. So again, that's laughmob.com.
Just quick.
Too.
Got to be on all the platforms.
Bob Sumner 24. Bob Sumner 24. Twitter.
Getting it straight from the horse's mouth right here. Yes. Bob, let me just ask you, just in terms of advice, because we know for all the people who are in front of the camera, all the real jobs are behind the camera, and I know you're a shot caller who's made it, not having to be the talent on stage. What do you recommend for those young people?
Well, I think that a lot of times, and this even goes out to the stand-up comedians, maybe the stage is not where you need to be because writers make a big money as well as directors, producers, and even if you have hairstylists and carpenters, there's so many jobs. When I speak to kids in schools and stuff, I tell them it's so many different jobs that you can do in the entertainment business. But if you are trying to be a stand-up comedian, try to be a stand-up stand-up comedian 5 minutes at a time, and take your lumps, take your bruises, because the only way you're going to succeed is if you keep going and just stay on stage. And every mic is a cool mic to get on.
That's great information. Needless to say, whether it's movies, whether it's on the stage, Bob has done it all. Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time. Enjoy this evening. It's a big honor, and we're so glad to have you on Fathers and Sons.
God bless
Appreciate it, and much success.
Thank you.
We'll be right back at you, so keep it locked. We're here at the Apollo Theater again talking about this incredible dedication tonight. We're honoring the comedy legends of the Apollo Theater, and one of the people who's so instrumental in pulling this whole night together is Nina Flowers, head of PR, public relations here at the Apollo Theater. Nina, so good to see you again.
Thank you. So good to see you, Glenn.
I didn't get a chance to compliment you on camera for your incredible night with Oprah Winfrey's network. That that whole series of concerts. If you guys didn't see it, I don't know if it's aired yet on Oprah.
Later in the month.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that was, you want Smokey, Gladys, Earth, Wind and Fire, Isley Brothers.
The crew.
It was an absolute star-studded event. It was incredible, and you pulled it all off. And congratulations on that.
Thank you. That was amazing. I mean, we are constantly doing things of which, I become a fan, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm working here. And that was definitely one of those, especially to see Smokey and Gladys, who's like one of my favorites. It was amazing.
Nina, there's so much incredible stuff going on. The Apollo has kind of found its voice again. I mean, the last couple of years have been absolutely stunning in terms of the kind of talent that's been brought back here. Recognizing the history is so important because so many young people, I think, are disconnected from the incredible legacy that this theater holds.
Yes. Oh, no, I think absolutely people are disconnected, but I think over the past 10 years, we've really been honing our artistic mission and instituting a lot of programming that celebrates the legacy of the theater. So for instance, with the comedy, with tonight, we honored the legacy, which is Richard Pryor, Moms Mabley, and Red Foxx, and these are people who are instrumental in the Apollo's DNA in terms of comedy. But we're also looking ahead to the future, and you just sort of got a little snippet of what to expect. And so that's sort of the through line throughout our artistic programming, which we celebrate the legacy of the theater. It's over 80 years of a rich tapestry of music, culture, comedy, dance, all of those things, but looking ahead to how the Apollo can be instrumental in that process in the future.
No question. We always like to get a little personal information. Where are you from originally?
I'm from Harlem. Now see?
Harlem born and bred. I cannot tell you how exciting that is. Just curious, family is still here?
A lot of my family is still here, and it's so funny, my grandmother, she passed away 2 years ago, but she used to always brag, my mother does too, oh, my granddaughter works at the Apollo, and because she used to tell me she used to sneak in to see James Brown, would pay like, $2 if she paid and sneak in backstage, which we don't do that now, but, and my mom, she would always tell people, oh yeah, I used to come see the 5 stair steps and the Shy Lights, and now my daughter, the whole thing. So it's definitely a source of pride for my family.
It's big. It's big. It's a big deal. This is history. You're a part of it. What was the impetus for bringing comedy and starting to recognize these non-musical stars?
Well, I think, the Apollo has always done comedy, but we started, I think maybe 10 years ago, in terms of the whole artistic programming, we started looking at all the things that we wanted to do and we wanted the Apollo to be moving forward. And so one of those important areas of the Apollo's history, as I mentioned earlier, was comedy. I mean, of course, music is at the core, but in those shows, and I think Mickey mentioned this or Janelle mentioned this in their speaking points, comedy was sort of the through line for all of the shows, the variety acts that we used to do. Comedy was always sort of at the source. So I think at this time, this is the right time to honor people outside of what people know us for and really start teaching people, in a sense, about the other genres and other disciplines that really made the Apollo the Apollo.
Question. This is so critical for young people that we're trying to touch and talk to about how careers are started. What helped you in your career? What were you doing before you came to the Apollo, and how long have you been here?
Well, I started at the Apollo maybe 8 or 9 years ago, but I started originally, I always knew I wanted to do music and something in the music industry and entertainment. And actually my first show coming to the Apollo was 15, and I forced my mom to bring me to the Apollo, and we sat upstairs in the lower mezzanine, and it was for Notorious B.I.G. and Lil' Kim was opening, and Jay-Z was opening, and no one knew who Jay was at the time. And so, you know, he came out and everybody's like, who's this kid? And no one knew. And then he came out and he wowed everybody, and it was amazing. Of course, history from there. But then we did a show with him in 2007, and I said to him, I remember your first show at the Apollo, and I told him it was Big, and Big had this on and you had that on. He was like, oh my God. And so for me, as a girl from Harlem, it's full circle, and I always knew I wanted to do music. And I started out at Vibe magazine in the PR department, and yeah, it's been...
I mean, that's fantastic, and for somebody who can really be testimony for young folks who are coming up, because you look like you just got out of high school, so needless to say, what kind of advice do you have for young people looking to start their careers in PR?
Well, I think in terms of PR is really, and what I try to tell people all the time, is it's a lot about instinct. There's a lot in terms of juggling. You have to be able to look at a situation from all perspectives. You can never be too big to learn. That's the number one thing I would tell anybody. I mean, even at this point in my career, I don't know everything, you know, and that's fine, because that's when you're still able to learn, you still be able to process information, and then use that in what you do, and that's very important. You're able to learn from other people. The biggest thing I tell anybody getting into PR: network, 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 network.
Sage advice, so important to get that. I can't thank you enough for giving us a little bit of your time. I just want to ask you quickly, did you go to school here in New York?
I did. I went to Long Island University. I went to high school, though. I went to a boarding school in Newtown, Pennsylvania. So
high class stuff. Long Island University?
College here, Long Island University, and I also finished my master's at Long Island University. So, very New York girl.
Master's degree also. That's how we do it here at Father and Sons. Nina, I can't thank you enough for giving some of your time. And please keep us abreast of what's going on here.
Will.
We will be here following it and watching all your success. Thanks again.
Thanks so much.
Yes, and that's it for Father and Sons. We'll be back at you in a minute. We're here at the Apollo Theater once again and talking to one of the real important legacy holders of this honoring of comedy tonight. Obviously, Richard Pryor is known the world over. He is the standard that really all new comedians, all the comedians of the last 30 years, hold out as their epic, their hero. And we have his son right here. Amazingly, Richard, so good to see you tonight. You and Rain gave an impassioned speech outside, talking to the people about your father's legacy. How great is it to see him honored here tonight?
It's unbelievable. You can't describe it. You know, people all over the world talk about Dad, and to have a place where he's performed over the years, through the struggles, whatever, he's always had a home here, and to finally have him be recognized here at the Apollo Theater. You know, one of the first places he performed at when he's made it and came here and became big. So it's just overwhelming, but it's a great thing, and it's warranted. And along with the other moms, Mabley and Red Foxx, it's about time that the Apollo allowed them to be on the platform the same as musicians.
Richard, you and your sister have held it up so well over the years. We're so happy for both of you.
Thank you.
Because it's so important. There's such a disconnect, I think, with a lot of the younger generation. They don't know fully, they're not fully aware of the gravity of what your dad did, what his contemporaries did, Red Foxx and Jackie Moms Mabley. What's your advice to young people in terms of pursuing their career? Because we're trying to talk to millennials today about really being serious, if not in front of the camera, really behind the camera, and what the opportunities are there.
Right. Well, I think first of all, in front of the camera is, we always hear about, you know, show business is the thing of performing, but it's also the business side of knowing that, but also researching. Mm-hmm. You know, if you're a comedian, I've met many comedians who are young that have never heard of my father. And it's like, how are you going into that field and not know who that is or who Red Foxx is and everything? So I think of knowing what you're doing and why you're doing it. And I think also a lot of people are doing it for the fame. And, you know, it's okay to make some money, it's good, but when you're broke, do you still want to be doing that? And if you still want to be doing that, that's what you should be doing.
There you go.
Yeah.
So valuable wisdom there. Just curious, did you ever have the impulse to get on the stage?
Oh, I did stand up years ago, but it was with me being named Richard Pryor Jr., it was just like I had a no-win situation. It was like, if I told the jokes like him, they said, oh, you're copping off your daddy. If I didn't tell him like him, you ain't funny as your daddy. So I said, let me go into theater, let me go into, you know, acting and singing, and that's what I did.
We're so happy that you gave us a little bit of your time tonight. Please enjoy this incredible acknowledgement, and you and your sister, much continued success and happiness. Thanks so much, Richard. We
Thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much. Thank you for having me.
And is there a website or anything in terms of so we can follow you?
Well, I can be found anywhere. Just any social media. I'm always on Richard Pryor Jr. It's always the tag.
Thanks again.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right.
And we'll be back. Take care. We're back at you here at the Apollo Theater once again, talking to one of the legacy holders of an incredible career and talent. Everybody knows Richard Pryor. Obviously, you guys are very familiar with his daughter, Rain. Rain, it's so good to see you here tonight. You and your brother holding it down. How does it feel for this recognition? It's really incredible.
You know what? It's one of those things where you go, it's about time and it's right on time, you know? And I just think for someone like my dad who has such a history at the Apollo and sold out shows, and for him just even when he was new being in New York, I just think that this holds such, it's a great honor and it's great esteem for our family. So
you yourself had a very nice little career. We followed it. You were very funny. You did some situational comedy,
Yes.
some sketch comedy. Just curious, what are you doing these days? Because you look fantastic.
Thank you. Well, I have a one-woman show, Fried Chicken and Latkes, that's been touring the U.S. Also opened at National Black Theater in Harlem. I have a documentary, That Daughter's Crazy, that's been making the circuit right now, which is wonderful. And I've just finished writing a TV show, so hopefully you'll see that on the air soon.
I know we will. We're doing this for young people we're trying to connect to really their history and their legacy,
Right.
and it's so important that nights like this take place. What is your recommendation? Because everybody can't be in front of the camera, and we had some great words of wisdom from your brother. How do you feel about talking to young people about what they can do in the business if they're not really the talent in front of the camera?
Well, I think, part of our culture anyway is storytelling and sharing our history orally. And so I think you need to share your history with each other, our experiences, our strengths, our hopes, our desires, and our dreams, and keep our children's children even telling those. So maybe it's to write, maybe it's support each other in someone else's creation. That's how we keep ourselves and our stories alive. You know?
More pearls of wisdom. The Pryor family is full of knowledge. We're so grateful that you guys were here to share in this because it's overdue, but it is right on time, as you said. Just curious, did you grow up? I know you didn't grow up in Peoria, as you said earlier.
Yeah.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Los Angeles, but then I lived when I was 1 and 2 years old on 82nd and Riverside with Miles Davis. So, things happen.
There's a lot of history there, a lot of good stories. I got to just ask you to repeat what you said outside. I know it's a little much, but it was the funniest line tonight.
About Dad. Well, I said that, they asked me what should we do to have something that would honor him. I'm like, well, do you have white women, hookers, and cocaine? So,
The comedy strains run very deep here. Rain, we couldn't thank you enough for giving us a little bit of your time. Thanks so much. Enjoy tonight and continued success. And we'll look for all the shows.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so much, guys, for watching, and we'll be right back at you. We are on, and we're here at the Apollo Theater. This is an amazing night of comedy, recognition, and acknowledgement. One of the big-time reasons we're here tonight is because of Bob Sumner, who we spoke to earlier, and this is his selection, the man who's going to be hosting the shows here at the Apollo Comedy Club, Smokey Suarez. So good to talk to you, Smokey. You had a great set tonight.
Thank you, appreciate that. I had a great time out there. This is a great experience and a great move for Harlem. It's going to be real good.
This has got to be something that I know Harlemites have been waiting for a long time. The comedy industry has been looking for, because this is a landmark, a signature place. You're a Harlemite yourself. What's it feel like to be doing this dedication and having a chance to be the host here?
Yeah, it's an incredible feeling. Like I said, I feel so blessed. Like I said, I was telling you, I feel like my mother's spirit is over me right now, giving me these type of opportunities. But to be here, and to try to bring all these different comics here is just like you were saying, Harlem needs this. We have our music concerts, and we have our poetry fest, slams, and all that stuff. But comedy, Harlem is like one of the meccas of comedy. Richard Pryor, like I said, all of them used to come back here to perform at the Apollo back in the days. Like I used to come here to watch them actually back in the days when I was kind of younger. But it's going to be a staple. It's definitely going to be a staple.
Where'd you grow up, Smokey?
I grew up right here in Harlem, on the east side of Harlem, 123rd Street, Taino Tower.
That's what we like to hear. We like to get a little homebred information.
Homebred.
Okay. Family's still here. Folks are still here.
Family's still here, brothers, nephews, nieces, all scattered around. Yeah, so you know, I'm always, and even if I don't stay in Harlem, like sometimes I move away or whatever, I always come back. You know what I'm saying? I embrace my community. I try to help the people in the community, the kids. I try to help the youth, try to get into other things instead of being on corners. I try to do little programs and stuff for them. So that's what the main focus is right now, to give back to Harlem. I've been in Harlem my whole life, and if I have an opportunity to get some of these kids off the streets, I'm definitely going to do that.
We couldn't be more appreciative of that, because that's what this is about. We're trying to talk to millennials. We're trying to tell them about opportunities, not necessarily in front of the camera, but what else is available behind the camera. What would you want to say to young people in terms of honing their craft, doing some other things that are behind the camera?
I would really like to say, if you really want to get into entertainment, first of all, find you an open mic. Start off from the bottom like everybody else. Don't try to go out there and talk about you want $100, $500 for a show because you made somebody laugh. But just start from the bottom and be consistent and be passionate about what you're doing. Because if you don't love it, it's definitely not going to love you back. Comedy is the type of game, if you don't love it, it's not going to love you back. You got to put 1,000% into a comedy. A lot of comics do comedy just for the reputation, for the money, but only the ones who really be successful is the ones who love it from the heart.
Smokey, we know you're going to do an incredible job here. We're so proud of you. We're so happy that you gave us a little bit of your time tonight. We're going to be following you, continued success, and all the blessings that the Apollo has to offer. Smokey Suarez, guys, the host, and we want to thank Roland Dues, who did the videotaping tonight. Roland, you're my man. Thank you, Ride or Die. Shout out to Roland, no doubt, and he's going to be seeing a lot more of us, hopefully, in the future as we follow the comedy here at the Apollo. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Hey, as we close things up here at the Apollo, what an incredible night. All the stars were out here. We had incredible legacy from Richard Pryor's kids. We heard from Jackie Moms Mabley in the voice of Bob Sumner, Janelle Procope, who talked about Red Foxx and his legacy here. We got a chance to talk to some of the people behind the scenes, father and sons. Couldn't be happier to be bringing this to you. And we're really, really excited about what lies ahead for the Apollo Theater and their new Comedy Central here. This is going to be another piece of the history that black folks are going to be gravitating to, and we're really looking forward to bringing you more of this going into the future. We want you young people, start doing your research, doing your homework, get into those careers, and look at stuff that's behind the scenes, behind the camera. There's a lot there, and we're really hoping we can get a chance to influence you a little bit with it. I'm Glenn Gilliam for Fathers and Sons. We'll see you next time.